which is related to drug safety and the safe use of the medicines. My name is Dr. Jahanzeb Kamal, and I am Director Medical Affairs for Getz Pharma. I'll just introduce Getz Pharma to you, all the lovely audience that we have today. Getz Pharma is one of the largest organization, pharmaceutical organization in Pakistan. It is also the largest employer of pharmaceuticals, and it is also the largest exporter of pharmaceuticals in Pakistan. I'm also very proud to work in Getz Pharma because we are the largest company that pays tax in within the pharmaceutical industry. As I just mentioned, that we have a great topic of discussion and awareness that need to be spread across many people. Then that topic is the safe use of the medicines. And who can brief and tell more about this topic than Umaimah Muzzamil? She's here with us as our speaker and the expert. I'll just take a moment to introduce Umaimah. Assalamu alaikum, Umaimah. I'm just going to introduce you today. Umaimah is a pharmacist by qualification. She has also completed her MBA, and she is also project manager professional. She has been trained in leading tertiary care hospitals of Karachi, including Liaquat National Hospital, Akin University Hospital, and she has also worked in USA in various capabilities. While I was talking to her, I understood her passion is patient safety and how quality care through medications can be provided to the patients. And she's the expert on patient safety here in Pakistan. Let's hear about this topic from Umaimah. Umaimah, what are your thoughts on the safe usage of medicine and today's topic of discussion?
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Jahanzeb. It's a pleasure to be here at Getz and talking on this topic. In today's world where we have a lot of complexities when it comes to medication safety, and people are still not sure what actually medication safety is, and the dilemma which we are facing all around the world regarding to medication safety and patient safety altogether, I think this topic which we have chosen is the need of the time, because we have been working on a lot of technologies. We have been working on to improve procedures in our industrial level, in hospitals and in community, but still we are not able to reach certain standards of healthcare, especially if we talk about Pakistan and other developing countries as well, where the systems could have been improved over the last 2 decades, which we have not been able to. So I think that the topic of discussion is, of course, my passion. I am currently working as general manager for Ehad Healthcare Center, which is a one-stop shop, and it's a primary healthcare setup which provides medical facilities, lab services, virtual health, and pharmacies all under one roof. So our connect to the vision of providing a healthier society or to promote better medication safety to the community, be it not only in the hospitals, but at the community level as well. So when this topic was given to me, I was like, oh man, I'm going to be there. I'm going to talk my heart out rather than talking about facts and taking more of a, casual discussion where the people should know what we are talking about rather than giving big numbers and telling them what it is and using medical jargons. So we'll be talking about more of, one-to-one interaction, whoever is listening, whoever the audience are, and you're open to ask any questions by the end as well. So that's about it. I'm excited and see how this runs.
Yeah, that's great. I already have prepared. I have a long list of questions for you because I always thought that it would be a great opportunity to know the real facts from the expert that we of your caliber, since you are here as well with us. And the audience would be welcome to put in their questions in the live chat box, and we will be frequently checking them, and then we'll be responding through you on those queries, and answers can be provided by you. So for for a start or a warm up, what is a medication error? Why it is so important to you and as a society in general?
See, medication error it's a very broad spectrum word, right? And that starts from the prescribing level to the dispensing level, to the labeling level, to the administration level. And over
Mhm.
a period of decades, we have been working on how these medication errors can be identified in a healthcare setting and what measures can be taken to reduce the medications error. So, as per se, the definition of a medication error is that it's an error which can be preventable. And these, again, that's what I said, that they can start from the prescribing level to the transcribing level to the dispensing level to the administration level. So medication error can be anything related to that. It can be overdosing, it can be underdosing, it can be wrong side of administration. So it's pretty holistic. And but till now, since the magnitude is so huge, we are still not able to gather enough data to give us a real outcome of figures how many medication errors occur in the developed countries as well as underdeveloped countries.
That's right. I was just reading well when I was preparing for this conversation with you. So I just read that approximately in country like USA, which is such an advanced healthcare system, because of medication error, about 10,000 people die. There is a lack of statistics here in Pakistan. We are not fully aware, but we usually get a lot of media attention when we have things like this. We usually hear some child have been provided some false medicine, and there are some legal issues and other issues also pops up. It's usually there in the media, but and it is also highlighted. But for a person who is consuming a product or a drug, medicine regularly, so to that person, what do you think? Or a person who's going to the doctor for the first time, and doctor has written a prescription, so what is the role of the patient here? I know there's a role for dispensing, chemists, we have a role for a doctor, but what is the role for a patient here? What do you think?
Okay, so I'll do a little bit of talk for this. How does our patient contribute to the medication safety? So the first thing, that when we talk about medication safety and when we talk to the consumers, especially our patients, and they say, oh, well, why should I be worried about my medication safety? My custodian for the medication safety is my physician, my pharmacist, or other healthcare providers. Why am I talking about it? And the moment they get to hear about how do you say, or what is your opinion about medication safety is, and the first response you get from the patients are, I don't know, that's not my area, that's my doctor's area, or that's my pharmacist's area. But trust me, it's you who's in charge of what you are taking. So from the patient's perspective and for the general consumers, my stance would be that you're in charge of your health. Nobody would know better than you are for the medicines you are taking, how it's affecting you, is it benefiting you, or you are getting disadvantages from it. So medication safety lies with the consumer's hand, with the patient's hand, knowing that there are a lot of complexities when we talk about medication safety, but there is one simple solution to it, and that gives us the clarity, it reduces harm, and increased effectiveness, and that is a simple medication updated list, which none of us does, right? How many of you, we have a lot of audience, I'm sure by now, if anyone can raise the hand, how many of you have a medication updated list in your book somewhere or in your cell phones? We have all kind of applications and games on our cell phones, but the only thing which we do not have is our medication update list, because we think that we are not part of a medication safety. In fact, as patients, we are equally responsible for our health as our healthcare providers. And these medication lists are usually shared with your doctors, your pharmacists, your nursing, and generally the family members as well. And you take a medicine and your whole neighborhood knows what you're taking. So, all of these
Absolutely right.
medication
Absolutely
lists
right.
are shared with everyone. This is something which I started new taken, and this is what is being prescribed. Or this is a new medicine
Right.
which I started and my bone ache is gone, right? And, the whole neighborhood, aunties and uncles, they start taking the same medicine. So, there is a plethora, they're already taking the same medicines. What we do not do is that along with the medication list, the prescribed, we think that medication list would only comprise of the prescription medicines which are written by the physicians. But medication list also comprises of the non-medicinal products which we take, like the OTC medications, the herbal teas, the Chinese. There's a lot of natural remedies going on, which you think, see floating over the internet. And this generation has a habit of writing down your symptoms on the Google, making your own diagnosis, prescribing it to yourself, and then taking it on your own too. So I'm not talking about only the prescription medicines, but I'm talking about the general medicines or the OTC medicines as well. And that has an impact. There was a very interesting study which I was going through, and it says that, and of course, these are studies from the developed countries who gather data, do good analysis so that they can give you a general idea of the population behavior. So there was this study which was done, and that study showed that only 25% of the population even visit the doctors and they get a prescription. And 2/3 of those 25% prescriptions had medication errors, out of which 41% had a clinical significance and 22% had a chance that it can affect a patient or it can harm a patient. Now, referring to the geriatric population, like the older people, 2/3 of our senior citizens are on medications which are more than 5, and they are mostly prescribed by multiple physicians rather than one. And these medication lists are not maintained anywhere, so they do not even know who has written it, whether the prescription is outdated or not. And that's an average prescription numbers we have, that is around 5. So this gives us a lot of opportunity for creating errors when it comes to medication error, but it also gives us an opportunity to address this error. And the only simple solution is that you maintain a medication updated list, your own. Be a partner in your own health. Do not put it on other people, that it's your physician or it's your pharmacist or it's your healthcare provider who should be taking charge of what you're taking. I think it should be more on what part you can play in improving your health. Now, before I move on to further talking about the medication safety, I would like to add on the barriers as patients we have before we even start taking medications. So again, I would refer to a study that was conducted in 2004, published as well, and from the Department of Internal Medicine. And it states that 31% of the population do not even fill their prescriptions. Now, there are certain barriers which we have in our mind that we don't want our prescriptions. Now, what happens is, especially for our patients who have chronic diseases like, say, blood pressure, or they're diabetic, or they have kidney function issues, they do not show day-to-day symptoms. So the reason for them stopping their medication is that I felt okay, so I did not think that I should be taking it any longer because my diabetes has gone back, right? This is a general statement which we hear from everyone. I took it for 6 months and now my sugar levels are good. But you need to understand that when these chronic medications are not treated well, they come back with a more aggressive attitude towards your health. And studies, again, has shown that 1 out of every 2 patients prescribed for chronic diseases stopped taking their medications after a year. And this gives 1 out of every 2 patients can have a 25% chances of having a stroke or a heart attack. So what are we actually leading to? So your doctor prescribed, but are you taking it? And what is being prescribed, are you taking it right? And similarly goes with other medications for non-chronic illnesses. Say, for example, antibiotics. It's like peanuts for us. We take it, we take it for a day or 2 and we leave it because we think that we got better. We take the patients who are given antidepressants. They take it for a while and then they just stop taking them without even tapering the doses. So because they think that, no, I'm feeling well, I don't think so, I need to take it any further.
Right, great. And
So
I have another interesting question. What
sure.
patients are supposed to do when they miss a dose? Is it a formula, or it's unique for different products, or they have a different action for different products? If they miss a dose, what they're supposed to do?
Well, that depends on the number of hours that has passed when you miss a dose. Say, for example, you are taking a blood pressure medication and you miss your dose in the morning. So it means that as soon as you remember, you have to take the medicine, right?
So
But it should
do
not.
do are we supposed to take the missed one as well, or
No, you are not supposed to take two. No, of course not. But the mist is already missed. So you have to
okay?
at least give a period for that drug to work, and then you take the next dose as your scheduled dose, but not to have two doses at the same time.
All right. So another interesting question. I think audience would
Sure.
love to hear this. How about side effects? Do all products have side effects? Are there side effects specific to certain products? How does it happen? These are the few questions that I'm sure audience like to get answer to this.
See, every person react differently. Your physiology is different, your age is different from the other person, your gender can be different, your ethnic background can be different. So, and of course, you're an expert in that area as well, that the ethnicity or your age or your gender plays a vital role in the responses which you get from a particular medication. So if there's a side effect which I am getting from a particular medicine, does not mean that the other person is going to have it. And then especially, I would say a lot of the side effect has to do with what is being prescribed and how you are taking it. Because when we are interacting with a healthcare provider, it's more of a monologue rather than a dialogue. Because you
True.
think that your doctor prescribed, and you
Yeah.
would think that you understood what he's saying because you never take a feedback. And then you take as you think was being told to you. And so, it's as important to what is being given to you, and you take as it's being prescribed as well. So, the timings, how you take it, when you take it. So even a very small statement which is given by your doctor to take it on an empty stomach can be as important to, what you are taking.
All right. And there is also a lot of misunderstanding within the patients that, this drug is of high potency. So I should take this drug with cold milk, or I should take this drug with cold glass of water. So what does actually the patients usually mean, and how we can remove this myth?
Well, it's more of a myth. I mean, milk kind of, there would be a lot of products which are actually contraindicated to be taken with milk. And especially
All right.
that goes with antibiotic. Whenever I take antibiotic, take it with a glass of milk, you'll feel fine. And there are a lot of antibiotics. If it's written, it has to be taken with water and with a normal temperature water, not warm or cold water is intended to be taken with it unless and until prescribed or given by the manufacturer, that has to be taken like that. I think the myth should be completely out of it, because everything which you do other than what is being given by the manufacturer in the information insert or which is being prescribed has a logic and a fact behind it. It's all based on science. So whatever we do as a myth is not based on science, rather than our experiences, and that has
Uh,
traveled
uh,
down from generations.
Yeah, Umaima, you just mentioned that there is a leaflet inside the box of a medicine. So, what
Right.
kind of information does it have? Because doctors usually do not have much time for the consultations, do not brief the patients in great details. So, what is there in the informational leaflet inside the box, and how this information can help these ailing people?
The information inserts which we have in the medicines, especially for the patients who are taking it, the areas of their interest would be the doses, how it is to be taken, how it is to be stored, what are the possible side effects you can encounter with it, and what if there are usually nothing written about if you miss a dose, but that is understood and that is already told by the physician. But I think these 5 areas should be your prime focus as patients to look on. That is the dose, the recommended dose, how it has to be taken, when it has to be taken, how it is to be stored, and if there are possible side effects. Say, for example, I'm taking a medicine and I'm having a headache. Now, that's a possible side effect which you can have. And side effects are something which you are going to have under normal conditions, unless and until there is another category that is considered to be as adverse drug reactions, which is totally different to a side effect, which is already known.
All right. I am a doctor myself, Umaima. So I have a very poor handwriting. So unfortunately, many other doctors have a poor handwriting when they are prescribing product. It's hardly illegible, and it is very difficult to read the name of the product. And obviously, we do not have much qualified people working in as chemists, in the chemist shops that we have. So how I believe that it's a source of medication error. So
It is.
what a patient need to do here? How we can eliminate this type of error?
Okay, I think when we are on the other side of the table and you're sitting in front of a doctor, I think the first thing which you need to come out as is to come out of the fear of talking to your healthcare provider, and make sure that that person understands that you are as responsible to your healthcare provider as he is, and you want contribution towards your health. So, this kind of a conversation is always going to be beneficial on both ends. So, if there is something prescribed which a patient cannot read, it is expected that anyone, as you say, that we don't have a lot of pharmacists working in the communities. We have very little. If overall, if we talk about the total number of chemist shop or pharmacies, there are hardly, maybe 1% or less than 1% of the pharmacies have actual pharmacists working there. So I think as a patient, you need to come out of your fear of talking to your healthcare provider, ask what is being written, confirm, and even when you go to the chemist, reconfirm what is prescribed and what is being dispensed. So it's again your part, it's your life, it's your health. You need to take charge, because if you would stop taking charge of your health, nobody is going to care for it. So you have to be proactive.
Right, great. But there are a lot of medicines that actually look alike. A lot of products that are the route of administration is through your eyes. They look very very similar. The brand names look very similar. And sometimes I have to pick up my reading glasses to see that what product I need to use. So do you think this is also a source of error and
Indeed.
side effects for the patients?
Indeed, indeed. Throughout the world, there have been cases in which reported mortality cases in which these lookalike and read-like medications have actually caused death. And although there has been work done over the past few years, but still the magnitude is so humongous that it's still at a lot of places out of control, and it is still not under control. So if I talk holistically, not only the patients or the doctors or the pharmacists are responsible, it has to come through the regulatory authorities at that level, that when they register a drug, their names should be matched with the existing ones. So, there are a lot of products in the market by the same name, which is one is used for as an anti-diabetic, and the other one is a multivitamin. So, this is actually a crime towards your patients, that you are not even considering these match of names. And then second comes the step when you are actually preparing it or making beautiful designs on your boxes, that you need to consider the lookalike boxes, variants of strengths. So there is a medicine which has three variants, like say, for example, 5 milligram, 10 milligram, and 50 milligram. And the boxes typically look alike, and there may be a light, tiny little line somewhere with a green or blue line distinguishing between the strands. So that also needs to be considered. And in developed countries, and even in Pakistan, there are a few institutes that has implemented this strategy. It's called as the tall men lettering, and that has come out when there was an incident which was reported by WHO, and there's a a lot of material which you'll find that was against vincristine and vinblastine. And after that, they started working on this Tolman lettering, especially in institutes. And here in Pakistan, we do have some institutes who are following it. But sadly, I have not seen anything like that in the community setup. And as you know, that only maybe 2% of your population visit hospitals. Majority of the patients attend the general physicians and the chemists, which are right next to their house. So we know that the chances of errors are humongous in these areas which are unidentified.
Yeah, the product that you just mentioned are the oncology products,
Yes,
and yes, and it will become a life-threatening situation.
it is. And it
Switching
had.
from yeah, it had, yeah. So it's a very serious. I believe it's a very serious thing as well. And do you think that there are certain products that are only used for old age people above 65 or children? So if the adult drugs are used for the children, they are harmful, or how does it work?
Of course, they can be harmful because if the age is identified for a particular population, it means that either it has not been tested on adults or on the pediatric population, because there are clinical trials that goes before a product is even launched in the market. So if it's specific to a population, it is recommended not to use it for any other population. So if it's for pediatric use or it's for adult use, it should not be used in children or pediatrics. And similarly, if it's for pediatric dosing, then it's not going to be effective if given to an older person, because when it comes to older people, obviously, with the passage of time, you lose a lot of your that's a natural course of cycle which you follow when you're aging. So your muscle, your water, your kidney function, your liver function, they all decreases, and the clearance of medicine from your body is different from what is going to be of a younger person. So all these things matter. So if you, again, I'm going back to the patients for the information search they have. So they have the population written specifically that it cannot be used, say, for example, for pregnant females or females who are lactating, or for geriatric patients. So it's already defined. So I think as patients, you should always look for that. And if you have any questions, come out of the fair and talk to your healthcare provider. That's all you can do and contribute well.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Another question just popped out. What is the value of expiry date that has been mentioned? The product, is it? It's a myth that after even expiry date, it's efficacious. What is your say on this? How important is the expiry date?
It is very, very important. Say, expiries are, of course, when the product is in the development phase. It goes through multiple cycles in which it's identified, and there's an analysis being done how long the medicine is going to be efficacious. Now, what does efficacious mean? That, say, for example, I have a headache, and if I try an X product which has expired, right, and if it doesn't give the efficacy which is required, then it means that it's not helping. And especially, I mean, I gave you a very crude example, but think about a heart patient taking a medicine which is a life-saving medicine for a heart patient. And if it expires, means that from 30th of any XYZ month, it's going to lose its effectiveness in that particular patient. So the moment you are going to step out on the next month, it means that the effectiveness it has to produce is going to go low. So if there's an anticoagulant, for example, and if it gives 75% of the result, which is supposed to be 100%, then it means that you can go back and trail it out that, okay, fine, that you already have a 25% chance of getting a stroke or a heart attack. So it's as serious as just giving this example.
All right. Another interesting question. The question is that the drug samples that the drug companies provide to the doctors are better than the products that are sold in the market. What do you have to say on this?
Well, as for the experience, which I have a little experience, well, we do not, well, Getz is already here. They can answer, but let me answer it from my perspective and from my experience as well. See, we don't have a different plant of generating samples, right? So the samples come out from the mass production, which we do for the patients. So it's not different, packed differently, but of course the plant is the same. We cannot have a separate plants in which you have to invest billions to actually make a manufacturing unit. So you cannot have that separately for making samples only. So I think that should answer. So it's as good as what is being packed.
You're saying the only packaging is a little different. There is a
Yes,
less number of tablets or capsules or whatever
right,
the drug
right.
is, a little bit. So it's just a myth that the
Yes, of course it is.
what doctors give and what is available in the market in the chemist, both are equally potent or efficacious.
Yes.
Okay, great. To me, taking a drug is like a car with a safety bag. It has to work when needed, right? So that brings in the concept of the quality of the product. So how, as a very professional pharmacist, you ensure the drug quality overall, and how the patient should think about the quality?
See, the quality again, it's a very broader word, right? And when we start talking about quality and the standard parameters of assessing a quality, see, the patients are the end use consumers. The qualities, of course, have to be maintained by the industries, right? And which they do, right? Even in Pakistan, we have really good companies. They have maintained their standards. They have their footprints on a global level. They're recognized, and they maintain the quality. But what comes is the step when the manufacturer has made the medicine and now it's in the market. Right now, as we know that there is a lot of problem in not only here in Pakistan, but in a lot of other countries regarding spurious medications. So I think the quality of medications would only be uh, safeguarded if we take it directly from the manufacturer or from the distributors. Thank God, over the past a decade or so, there have been chain community pharmacies which are coming in Pakistan, and they ensure that the medicines are taken from the direct distributors or the manufacturers or directly from the manufacturers, and they have pharmacists too. So I think this overall health dilemma, which we have been facing over decades, is going to reduce over a period of time. It has already started. And of course, it's going to take its due course of time for it to expand on a national level. But I think we are moving in the right direction. And if not now, we would be there sooner. Since there are a lot of people coming in the market, and they are with a vision that they want to bring this on. And rather than having medicine just as a discount business, they're actually bringing in the quality. And of course, I would like to take Ehad's name in it, that we are making sure that the more quality medicines are giving to our patients, and we are not into a discount fight as the rest of the competitor. I would not even call them competitors, but of course, the pharmacy is next to us. So the
Right.
best is that you assess it yourself.
All right, great. Another important point is Pakistan mainly very hot and humid country. It is diversified. We have hills and mountains, cold, minus minus 20 degrees centigrades as well in the upper part of Chitral, and here in Karachi we have 40 Celsius these days as well. Most of the drugs that we have need some temperature control. Am I right when I'm saying this? So how does
Yes.
this, if it is, then how does it affects? Because what I've seen in the chemist or retailers, pharmacies, there are certain drugs that are placed in refrigerator. There are some in freezers, and there are certain which are there in the in the shelf areas. So how does this work, and how important it is for the drug quality?
Well, it plays a major role. As you would say that there are a lot of storage conditions which are given by the manufacturer, usually stored at room temperature, dry, cool. You would see it written everywhere: store at a cool, dry place, room temperature. Now the problem is that how do they identify the room temperature? Because sitting here in Karachi, your room temperature is 40, feels like 50, And then you go to the northern area, and there, the room temperature can go down to 10 degrees as well, right? So of course, especially the pharmacies or the hospitals and the community pharmacies, these are the intermediaries before it reaches the end consumer. And it becomes our responsibility to tell our patients how to maintain it. Now, the dilemma which we are facing, and it's kind of a catastrophe, which is all over Pakistan and a lot of the developing countries as well. I have visited Sri Lanka. They have implemented it through regulation. There are other countries I've seen in Turkey that, by passage of time, there are general regulations that are coming in that your pharmacies should be temperature controlled, because that is a requirement of your medicine. Now, we cook, right? And we don't want to leave it outside because it's going to get rotten. But,
Yeah.
we keep it in the fridge, right? But we don't care about the medicines which are actually going to provide you the health. And only if you'll eat when you're healthy, right? So we'd be more concerned about the milk or the yogurt which is left outside rather than our medicine. So we have to understand the quality. Of course, temperature plays a vital role in maintaining the quality, the potency, and the efficacy of your medicine. So what is given by the manufacturer, what is written, is something which is clinically tested. So if they say that you have to store it below 25 degrees or you have to put it below 8 degrees centigrade, it means that against those environmental conditions, it's going to deteriorate. And deterioration means that it's not going to be effective. So if insulin is kept at 40 degrees centigrade, then you should not be expecting it to work as it would be when it's stored at a cool place. So it's as simple.
All right. So you're saying that it's the pharmacist's responsibility to store it at the right place, and then when the patient is consuming it, they have to store it at the right temperature as well, in order to ensure the efficacy and safety of this product. This is
Definitely, yes.
okay.
It's
Great.
equally important. It's equally important.
It's equally important. That's great. Another interesting question. Somebody is sharing that mother has been prescribed a product, and doctors have advised to cut the tablet into two halves. So, how to measure it? It's a very small tablet, I am assuming. So, is it safe? What to do with the leftover part? So, what are your thoughts on this? It's a
As a
very common.
medicine,
It's a very
it's a
common.
common habit, it's a common norm. As a
Yeah.
medicine expert, from a pharmacist point of view, I would not say that it should be recommended at all. At all. See, you have a 1 milligram tablet, which is, if you count it or you just place it on your fingertip, it's hardly like 1 centimeter, as in the diameter, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you divide the dose, and how would you ensure what needs to be taken is there?
Yeah.
So, I mean, as a medicine expert, this should not be done unless and until there are few medicines in which the manufacturers write it specifically that it can be crushed or it can be given, especially for pediatric population. They make these kind of dosage forms that it can be crushed or it can be, mixed in apple juice or milk. So if it's not stated, then it should not be taken as such. And half of the portion should not be taken again.
All right. So, but you just mentioned related to medicine and food. So, is it a norm that you were supposed to take medicines with food, or is it very very specific to medicines?
There are medicines which are recommended to be taken with food, and there are medicines which are recommended not to be taken with food usually on an empty stomach. And there are medicines which are asked to be taken in between meals. So there are clearly defined instructions. The thing is that you need to ask. Again, I'm going back to the same point that you have to take care of your health. If there is any question which you think needs to be asked from your healthcare provider, taking on an empty stomach would mean that you have to take the medicines 2 hours before you eat anything or 2 hours after you have eaten anything. And of course, that has to do with your drug food interaction. What you eat is going to affect the potency or the efficacy of the medicines you are taking. So it is directly linked. You cannot separate it out.
All right. So, do these many patients take poly pills? They consume a lot of other drugs as well. So, do these drugs also kind of work against each other, or they work together? Does it improve side effects, or it increases the side effects? What happens? I'm referring to the drug to drug interaction, if in technical words.
There have been known drug interactions, and they have been to that level that they have caused deaths too, and they have been reported. So if we talk about drug interaction, and that not only includes the medicines which are written by your prescriber, but that also counters for the ones we are taking as an OTC. For example, it's very common for people to take aspirin, right? And there is a blood thinner which is called as warfarin, and it has a drug interaction. So, and it's actually lethal. Similarly goes with the a lot of what we call as PPIs. We usually take it for the PPIs, which we take for, considered to
For
be
gastric diseases,
anti-ulcerative.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
and it has a severe interaction with clopidogrel. So, these all are identified drug-drug interactions, and drug-drug interaction would mean that either they are going to decrease or it's going to increase the level of your medicine within your body. So, of course, rather than being advantageous, it's going to be a disadvantage to your health. So, yes, you have to look for drug-drug interactions. And again, I'm emphasizing that has not to be limited to only the prescribed medications. That involves your non-prescriptions, your OTCs, your myth-related remedies, everything. That counts for everything.
That's come from everything. That even for herbal products,
Of
the
course it does. Herbal,
Chinese.
Chinese, yes, yes, indeed.
Okay. Yeah, right. If the drug has interaction with food, why not? It would have interactions with Chinese remedies or the herbal
Right.
or Unani medicines that we have. Absolutely correct. Now it start making sense. Let's learn more about humidity, or the moisture that we have. Usually, what happens? What we have seen, that there are many drugs which have different containers, and it has different tablets inside, and they are exposed for a very short time to humid conditions. So does it affect the overall quality, and then translating into not giving a full benefit to the patients?
It does. And the first sign, especially when a medicine is exposed to humidity, the first signs you will see is going to be the change of your pharmaceutical product. Say, for example, if there is humidity, which is being absorbed by a tablet, it's going to change color or it's going to change its texture. So you would have to keep on looking for these signs for them that it has taken in humidity. And the kind of countries, of course, especially Pakistan and all the countries which are near the coastal areas, they're very humid and the temperature is also high. So, especially, and that is why you would see that there are a lot of pharmaceutical products which are available with desiccants, which is to absorb the humidity which is there. And the first thing which we do when we bring the medicine home is to throw that little piece of small silicone balls in it, and
Yes,
we
yes.
think that we can play with it and it looks really nice. But the first thing which we do is that we throw it, or we give it to our children, or we just throw it because of the reason that, oh, my kid can inhale, eat it, is going to be dangerous for him. And the first thing which we do is that we throw that. But what it actually does is that it absorbs the moisture in that packaging. So do not throw that. So do not just keep it. Just keep the medicines out of reach of children, and that includes that small box, that small silicone thing.
Yeah, that box is for absorbing the humidity. Is
Yes,
that right?
yes, yes.
Okay, okay. I didn't knew much about about that. Okay, great. So, uh, if somebody has received double dose or overdosed from a drug, I think that would be a very serious situation. What the patient need to do then?
Okay, now overdosing is can be accidental.
Yeah.
or it can be an attempt for suicide.
Yeah.
So people who are overdosing, they know that they're supposed to take one, and they're taking five because they know they're going towards that. Now, let me refer to my first few comments on maintaining a medication list. Now, we have a lot of if you look at the general population, we have a lot of major 30-40% of our population is the senior citizens. And they have this, obviously, the tendency of forgetting about taking their medicines as well. So I'm talking about accidental overdose. I'm not talking about the other societal overdosing. So overdosing, yes, occurs, and that there can be many reasons to it. The unforgetfulness is the reason. Taking same dose again because you thought that you did not take it in the morning, by not maintaining some record of your medicines. These all can be the possible reasons of people taking overdose. But yes, of course, anything which is prescribed which is taken more than the dose which is prescribed is going to be harmful to you, because it's going to stay in your body for a longer period of time. So you have to monitor your symptoms. For example, there's a BP medicine which is given at a particular dose to maintain your BP for 24 hours. Now, if
Right.
you take a double dose, it means that you are going, possibly there are chances that you are going to go hypertensive. Now you have to monitor, since you already have identified that you have taken an overdose. The first thing is that contact your prescriber or your physician, and the moment you feel anything, you should run to the hospital. And the thing which we don't do is that we try a lot of remedies at home rather than actually going to the doctor and getting it fixed. So, oh, hypertensive, don't worry about it. Just take a half teaspoon of salt, dissolve in water, and have it, and you'll be fine, right? But you really do not know that hypertension could have done a lot of damage to your body, and that needs to be addressed right away. And for that, you have to visit your physician. You have to go right away, rather than calling your relatives and your neighbors to help you out with it. Go to your physician and talk to him.
But these days, the physicians are so busy. It becomes very very difficult to get their appointment. Good doctors get their appointment. So it would be a little challenging for the poor patients to go back to the physician and ask. I think another option could be if they are finding themselves a little dizzy, or they feel that the side effects are strong enough that cannot be managed by the person himself, or need some outside help or some attendance help, then they have to rush to an emergency room to the hospital, so
Right.
they can also have a special attention that is actually required.
Indeed, indeed. And with the advancement of technology, gladly, even in Pakistan, you have teleconsultations available. I mean, there are a lot of networks that are working to establish teleconsultations. So even if you talk about the rural areas, of course, in urban areas, we have that pretty much well settled. But even if in our small areas, there have been extensions to these teleconsultations. So I think it's more about spreading the word and creating awareness that there are systems, there are places, there are organizations which are working and that can help you out to come out of the situation, rather than staying back home and, God forbid, going to a hospital in a worse situation, which could have been prevented if you would have gone earlier. So that is a burden to not only to the society as a whole, but of course to an individual as well.
Right. Just one practical question. Whenever we use a drug at home, so it's in the form of a strip, different colored, or a silver strip. And then the moment we start taking out drugs every day, so we start seeing that we can't identify the product that we are consuming. So it becomes a little difficult, you know. So what's the how we can manage this issue, because we are hardly able to identify when they are about they are 10 capsules in a strip. Then the moment you have taken out the eighth one, then you hardly even recognize the strip because it's all torn off. So how we can ensure that we are taking the right medicine, not the other for intended use.
Okay, am I allowed to give a very expensive uh, solution
Go
to
ahead.
it?
Go ahead.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
okay.
Whatever you feel like.
As
We
per
need a
these
solution to this.
as
Yeah.
per these standards, every pill cutting should have the name of the medicine and the expiry. Now, this is something which has been a standard and it has been given by the JCIA as well, even for the institutes which are accredited for JCIA. And similarly for patient safety, and when you talk about medication safety, especially from this forum of Getz, I would like to put that on table for a lot of the pharmaceutical companies to address this issue, that there should be pocket labeling for the name of the medicine as well as the expiry. And this is the only solution, that is probably going to reduce your adulteration in your medicines which are done outside, or the spurious medications that come in the market as well. Because of course the solution is expensive, of course the labeling is going to be expensive, but in the longer run it's going to be very helpful, especially if you go for pocket printing. That's called as pocket printing.
That's called pocket printing. So in every
Pocket
pocket,
printing.
there's certain
Yes,
set
there's
of
name of the
information.
medicine and the lot and expiry, or just expiry maybe, because if you'll put a lot of information in it, it's going to be not readable. So at least the name of the medicine with expiry date. So because lot and manufacturing date can be written somewhere or the other. But ideally, in the pocket, it should have all the information. And you must have witnessed in the developed countries that they have big pockets. So there's a big space in which they have everything printed, starting from the name of the brand, the generic, the expiry date, the lot number. So everything is there in the pocket. So we would have to let go a little bit of our investment for patient and medication safety.
Absolutely correct. Another interesting question. At home, someone has some expiry drugs, wants to do some safe disposal of these expiry products. How they should go about this?
Okay, it's a very difficult question. All right. Now, the thing is that, again, I refer to, of course, the systems which are established, and would draw the attention of whoever is listening, if we can work on it, that in developed countries, they have drug disposals. So they have a system in which they take the expired medications, even if they can be returned at the pharmacies, and they have a drug disposal system in which it is collected and then disposed of. So for us, which is not recommended at all, is that we just drain it out or we throw it in the garbage. So of course, it's a chemical. Any medicine in any form is a chemical. And the way it reacts to your environment is something which we do not even know. There is a lot of talk about industrial waste, but what about the waste which we are creating at home or from home? Draining out a chemical in your sewerage line is ultimately going to go to the sea, and how the damage can be done. Well, that's good to talk about. We can talk about it, but we don't have a system. I'm sorry, we don't have anything. So the best is that you throw it, or at least crush it and throw it in the garbage, so that at least it goes down down the ground and not dumped into the sea. So that's what I can say. Not a
And what
standard, not a
really
standard procedure,
right?
but
Whatever we are doing, need to stay. The things need to stay away from the children.
yes, of course,
Of
yes.
course, because they get little intrigued on various new stuff they actually see. Um, Right. Another interesting question is just popping up in on my WhatsApp notes here. The comment is a question and a comment. The comment is that someone is using a drug, but now is feeling that the drug is not very efficacious. She has been using this product for about more than 10 years, and I think she is diabetic. So the same drug is not giving the same result that she used to have. So, what's your take on this?
I think that has more to do with your physiology responding to a particular drug rather than the medicine itself. There would always come a time in your life when certain things would stop responding. So, you need to go and talk to your physician, and they can be additions or they can be a change in your prescription. So, do not stop unless and until you talk to your physician about it. That the drug is not responding. And the parameter of assessing the drug is not responding is what? I mean, that also needs to be assessed, whether the tests are being done or not, HbA1c is being taken or not, or is just a qualitative statement that it's not working. So I think that we need to work on the facts rather than just stating it out that it's not working.
Right. One more question that just popped in related to injections, which are also part of device and delivery devices. So I think it's a relevant question. So how we can safely dispose these used injections?
There are a lot of disposal questions here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, first of all, the injections should not be administered at home by anyone unless and until you have a healthcare provider. And for people who come and administer, say, for example, the nursing staff or the paramedical staff, they have a box which is meant to break the needle so it's not used again. So our people, since we all are half physicians and half nurses and half pharmacists by ourselves, by virtue of our all search through the internet, so we do it on ourselves. So the first thing is that do not administer, even if you think you are trained and you're not a healthcare professional, do not administer injectables at home. So that's for one thing. Yes. But if we talk about, of course, the insulin syringes, then
Yes.
just break it off. Insulin syringes is something that everyone has to do. But other than that, I would suggest that not to administer to yourself. And for insulin syringes, just be careful and just break it off, because it's already a very tiny needle. So just break it off, and just disposal is, again, just the garbage. So
Just
that's all we
garbage.
have. Yeah.
The most important element is ensure that it cannot be used again. I think this is what you were trying to.
There is very interesting news, and I think in a lot of the countries are actually taking it as they are bringing in 1 cc these insulin syringes that comes with auto lock. So once you use it, it breaks off and it cannot be used again. So I think that's going to bring in a lot of safety to the patient, as well as going to help in disposal. So I think that would help a lot.
Yes, great. So I think it was a wonderful session. There were a lot of questions, and my apologies to you and congratulations to you for answering those questions as well.
You tricked me on a lot.
Yeah, there were a lot of questions, and I think it was a very, very interactive, and you handled those questions perfectly. It was expected from the expert, Umaimah Muzzamil, from you, that you will be able to handle all those questions. To the audience, thank you very much for joining us today. It was indeed a great topic to be discussed from all the perspectives, from patient perspective, from people who take care of these patients, for regulators, from chemists, pharmacists. From everybody's perspective, it was a very, very important topic. And my God, great handling of those bombardment of questions by Umaimah Muzzamil. And it was really expected from her to do this. Just to close, I thank you very much to Umaimah Muzzamil, General Manager for Operations at Ehad Pharmacy, learned academician. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, audience. Maybe sometimes later we will be back by some more interesting topic where we can handle your questions, more questions again. And my name is Dr. Jahanzeb Kamal. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.